What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Nate Schmidt. Welcome back to the Ecom Dispensary. This week is knowledge drop number 41. Welcome to it. I got my business partner, Scotty the Scott Man. Scotty, what's going on, dude? How you doing?
Doing well, Schmitty. Doing well. Looking forward to hanging out with you next week.
Yeah, so rare occasion. I guess next knowledge drop, so number 42 will actually be me and Scotty will be in the same physical location recording that one. So that should be interesting. Most of these we're remote digital work from home type deals, but we're going on a little trip in our favorite little rocket ship, and we're gonna have a good time. So I don't know if we're gonna disclose the location of that trip. It's a village by the sea. We'll leave it at that.
Are we doing a drunk dispensary episode?
Yeah, should we just get hammered?
I
We
feel
did that
like
once
we
with
could
a
start
with a
fighting.
Periscope, didn't we?
Oh, years ago, yeah. I said dumb shit where you thought you were gonna get banned. I guess we can't get banned here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we can say whatever we want here, I think. And I guess it depends, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe next week's maybe next week's drop will be a little bit more entertaining and less educational, but regardless, that'll be next week. So let's get back to the present here. We're in this week. This is a glorious November week. It is, I guess it'll be the 13th when this is coming out. So we got a couple episodes for you guys this week, as always. A lot of ecom specific stuff, and well, it's kind of half and half. Some ecom specific stuff, some other kind of more general life, business mindset type stuff. So this first episode, number 165, I basically just want to break down how I'm thinking about doing kind of product and market research as of late. So if you didn't know, something that I'm doing in my time, I was going to say my free time, but I guess it's not really my free time. Well, I guess maybe it is. But something I've been doing
All
recently
the same,
is
Schmitty.
just testing products, testing stores, working to get something working so that we can have another, kind of main brand that we're running long term. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. The last few that I've tested, the last few products, the last few stores that I've tested have not done very well. Had a few that did okay, kind of around the break even mark, but just couldn't really get it past that, and some other ones that just completely flopped. Um, I kind of realized that in what I've been doing on the last few, I was kind of not following my own advice, and I was doing things in a way that was just not very effective. Honestly, because just it was basically just me being lazy. I didn't really want to do all the hard work, and I was largely just kind of copying things that I'd seen working, and not really doing the extra work that's required to make things happen in the ecom game. So I've kind of pivoted my strategy a little bit, and how I'm doing research and stuff, how I'm finding products to sell, my approach to that, and I wanted to just share a little bit about that and kind of what I'm doing now, because I think I'm probably going to have a bit better of a success rate with this method. It's definitely not the sexiest method, but I think it's really the method that works. This is pretty much the exact method that we use to start our current brand that we've been running for the last, almost 2 years now. And I think, it's a pretty effective strategy, all things considered. Would you say, Scotty?
Can be. Certainly can be.
I think it's better than what most people are doing. It's definitely better than what I was doing, just being lazy. So let's talk about it. I want to show you guys kind of what I've been doing, how I'm thinking about starting new stores and finding new products and stuff. So the kind of general process here, and this is like even the first step is pretty different from what I think a lot of people do. Some of you guys might kind of already understand. This is something that we've talked about before. So then like completely new topic, but the first step in this process is instead of looking for a product to sell, I start with a market that in a general sense, I know exists and is like somewhat decent and could be a decent, market to sell in. And then in this stage, I'm kind of just thinking very general. And this isn't like something that you necessarily need to do research to figure out. I mean, it can be, but this can also just be something that's in your head because, you know, just like being a human, seeing various products and stuff, like you have a general idea of the different types of markets that are out there. I think this is, Scotty had the idea for the brand that we're running now, and it was just kind of a market that we both knew we both kind of heard of. We've seen people have success in it, and we just, common sense just tells us that it's a decent market. So that's kind of the first step, is just starting with a general market. Like, for example, the survival market, survival slash preparedness, people who are really into like prepping and stuff like that. Like, that's a huge market. That's a proven one. Like, it's guaranteed possible to make money in that market. Same with something like the baby market. There's a lot of different products out there that are tailored for babies, for parents of babies. And, it's kind of like a proven market, just in a very basic sense. That's kind of where I'm starting, is just picking a general market and starting with that. Now, from there, the next kind of step is to do research. And essentially what I'm looking for in doing this type of research is I'm looking for different patterns. And in this stage, a big part of it is I'm looking for ways to niche down and get more specific with who I'm targeting within that market. Because, it's one thing to just say, I don't know, off the top of my head, like, you could say that I'm going to target people who ride bikes, people who are really into biking. Thing with that is there are a bunch of different subsections of that market. There's people who are really into mountain biking. There's people who are really into like riding bikes on the road, like freaking dickheads. I hate those people. Um, there's people who, what other kind of, I don't know, different kinds of biking are there? There's a couple different things. There's kids maybe who, you sell stuff for kids who are into biking. There's a lot of different kind of subsections of these general markets. So my goal through this kind of first phase of research is to find a more specific subsection of the market that I think I can attack, that I think might be good to go after. And the way that I do that for the most part is largely looking through online forums. Like, if you look up, biking forum or mountain biking forum, obviously that's being more specific, but you basically kind of look up search terms that are related to your market plus the word forum. And then you read through these forums, and you can just kind of see what people are talking about. You can look through, and especially, I think something that's especially valuable is forums where they're talking about specific products that they're either looking for, that they've bought, stuff like that. That can be really valuable. And then also looking through things like product reviews for different products in that market, and just kind of seeing what people are talking about, seeing the things that they're using these products for. This is something that we've talked about in a previous episode, where, kind of looking through reviews and using that, and like kind of seeing this more specific use cases that people in that market use the product for, and kind of using that to identify smaller subsections of the market. So far, basically
No, go ahead. Things right now. You still use, I mean, are forums even still a thing, or are these forum articles just old that you're reading? Or when you say forum, does that include stuff like Quora or Reddit, which are like the 2021 version of a forum, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think it includes Reddit and Quora as well. You'd be surprised though. You'd be surprised. There are still to this day a lot of forums that people are active on, that people are still making posts on in 2021. There's obviously a lot of forum stuff is kind of like you're saying. It is older stuff from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But honestly, like, even I don't really think that the information that you're looking for here is like super, super time sensitive. It could be depending on the market. But, I don't think there's a huge, a post from 2020 versus a post from 2012. In most cases in this situation, I don't think it really matters when it's from, because for the most part, like the markets are not going to have changed dramatically over the course of the last 10 years.
Yeah, gotcha. Another thing sort of want to point out is that here you're talking about getting the market and then going more specific. I think what we've generally taught in the past is get a market, then get a product, and then go more specific, right? So like right now you're narrowing the market before you have the product. I think generally what we've talked about in the past is more so like get a market, decide on a product, and then, for example, by looking through the reviews, figure out a more specific subset of this market that's using a specific use case, and specifically target that in all your marketing. Are you specifically saying like narrow it before you find the product, or just both are options?
Yeah, I mean, I think both are options. The method that I'm kind of using right now is, I think it's more the first way, where I'm kind of trying to get more specific with the market before I choose a specific product. I think it can work. It can certainly work both ways though. But the reason that I'm kind of doing it this way is because I've just been having like it's been tough for me to come up and like find good product ideas. And I really want to, as much as possible, instead of trying to come up with product ideas myself, I really just want the market to tell me what I should sell, what they're buying, what would be good to sell. Because for the most part, like that's kind of the entire point of doing research is the research, the people in your market, whoever you want to sell to, if you do research on them, they will tell you for the most part, like pretty much exactly what they want to buy, what they are buying, and i.e. then therefore what you should sell. So that's kind of the approach that I'm taking is market, get more specific with it, and then within that specific market, see what those people are buying, see what they're talking about, and then kind of choose my product from there.
Gotcha.
But I think that, the other way certainly can work and is, it's really not all that different from this method. It's just a little bit different in the order of the way that you do things. But that's kind of the gist. And then from there, like once I've kind of, like as an example, if I was going to go with the baby market, a common problem in the baby market, let's say, is babies that don't sleep well at night. I think that's a pretty common problem. Parents are getting woken up by their babies who aren't sleeping. They're crying. They're just generally not happy, not getting sleep. And, it's a bit more specific than just like the baby market. So with that more specific market in mind, then from there, I can do more research to look for specific products to sell. I could search Google for something like baby won't sleep forum, or, just like solutions to my baby won't sleep. Like, what do I do? And kind of see what people are talking about, see if there's, products that people are buying for that specific purpose, and see what you can, find that way. And that's kind of the like what I was just saying a second ago. That's kind of like the hallmark point of the strategy is with this, you're not really trying to come up with product ideas. You're looking for products that a specific market of people are already buying, that they're already using. And then you're essentially just letting the research tell you what the market wants. That way you can, it's going to take some research through different forums, looking on Amazon, doing various Google searches, going on Google Shopping. These are all methods that we've talked about in pretty solid depth in the past, I think. From there, like once you've done some research, just like I have just basically been taking a lot of notes and just kind of writing down any product ideas that I see. For the most part, you should be able to come up with like a lot of different product ideas. And then from there, essentially the next step is once I have a few product ideas in mind, I'll do additional research on the kind of competitors that are selling those products and see what they're doing, see what's working for them. And then from there, just like kind of using my gut instinct and just based on all my research, what I think might work the best, choose a product and start testing it.
What are you looking for when you're looking at competitors? Are you looking for something where there's no competitors, where there's a bunch of competitors that are doing it well? What are you looking for when you're looking at other people selling the same thing?
Yeah, so I'd say there's kind of like a middle ground. I'm not looking for something that no one is selling. If I can't find anyone selling that kind of product to that kind of market, there's not a very high chance that I was the first person to come up with that idea. And the only reason that I can't find anything is because no one's just tried it yet. And it actually would work really well. More likely than not, if there's no one doing it, that's an indicator that there's probably a reason for that. And it's probably not that no one's thought of it before. So I'm looking for evidence that there are people doing something similar successfully. And then, once I find these competitors, I'm just kind of thinking about how I can do something similar to what they're doing, but better, stronger, more unique, better content, better offer, stronger angle. I'm just thinking about the ways that I can improve on what they're doing and just kind of making sure that there is evidence that, people are successfully selling these types of products in these types of markets.
Gotcha.
On the other hand, like I definitely would not want to go after a product that was being sold by 1,000 different sellers and was just like super, super common, super popular. Because I think that's one thing in ecom where you don't really want to sell the products that are like super common that people have seen a lot of before and that they know that they can get elsewhere. Because in all likelihood, you're probably not going to be the cheapest one selling it. And you don't really want to sell things that people are going to be price comparing across different platforms, different websites, et cetera.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you have no experience, and then when you do have experience, you just kind of trust your gut. It's hard to formulate why you pick a certain product. It's like, do I
Yeah.
think this can work? That's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, it does come down to just instinct a lot of the times, and like kind of deciding which specific route you want to go. And like, guys, this process is not easy. Like, I'm experienced with this. I've done this, a few times before. Somewhat know what I'm doing here, and this process is certainly not easy. It can be kind of overwhelming. Like, I'm not gonna lie. There's When you're looking for something to sell, it can be so overwhelming because there are endless, I mean, literally endless options of anything that you could sell. And that's kind of why I like this approach a little bit better, because it makes it a little bit less daunting by getting, when you get more specific off the bat, there's far less options to choose from. And that makes it a bit easier to like not overanalyze everything, overthink everything. And you just kind of when you have a limited number of options in front of you, it's easier to choose one than when you have endless options.
That is true. That's why we generally like to pick the market first
Yeah.
instead of just endlessly scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and trying to sell whatever ads you see that you think are cool and interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's kind of the mistake that I've made on the past few things that I've tested is I was just scrolling through Facebook and just seeing what ads I was getting and what ads had a lot of engagement, and just like trying to find stores that were selling products well. And then I was just kind of like not copying everything they were doing. I wasn't like, copy pasting their product descriptions or their ad copy or anything, but I was just doing things in a very similar way to the things that I was already seeing. And I think that it was very limited in the scope of like, for one, like the ads that I'm being shown on Facebook are just such a small subsection of everything that's out there, just based off of what Facebook thinks is, what I'm interested in, which is honestly at this point, like it's got to be so weird and so messed up just from all the different things that I click on. Cause it's like kind of when I'm doing research like that, I'm scrolling through Facebook and Instagram. Sometimes I'm like actually looking for products to sell, and there are things that are like, I'm not interested at all personally myself. And then I'll click on those, and then Facebook thinks that I'm interested in that. But then other times it's stuff that I'm actually interested in, you know, various clothing or shoes or, golf related stuff, whatever. And then I don't know, I feel like Facebook is just like very confused about what I'm actually interested in. Um, but I don't think that that is really the best method. I mean, at least for me in the last few things I've tested, that just not worked out for me. So that's kind of why I've started to adopt this approach a little bit more. And who knows how it'll go. I'm being a little bit more intentional this time around with the next thing that I'm launching, and trying to do a lot more research before I just kind of see something that's already working and just kind of copy it. Um, I'm trying to actually figure out something that's going to be unique, something that's going to be, very specific to a specific group of people, and that is really going to resonate with them.
Yeah. I don't think either of us have ever had a successful or even semi-successful store where we saw something on Facebook and decided to advertise the same thing. Like
Yeah.
they've always been, we picked the market, we had an idea in real life. Um, yeah, we saw something in real life that inspired us to try it. We came up with a market, picked the product, niched it down. We've never had a even semi-successful product where we were just copying what's working.
Yeah, I think that's true. I can't think of a single example. And the thing about this is like most people aren't going to do this because it's like not fun, you know? Doing a bunch of research on a market, especially if it's not something that you're like super personally interested in, it's not exactly a fun way to spend your time. It can be kind of tedious, it can be time consuming, and people just want to like do things instantly. But I think like this is kind of the thing, like when it comes to any sort of marketing or business, research is the thing that is, that's like the unfair advantage. Like if you're doing your research, if you really understand who you're selling to, what they're interested in, what kind of person they are, all of these different things, if you are really in tune with that, that makes things so much easier, because then you have all that knowledge, and that knowledge is just so valuable when it comes to figuring out what do people want to buy, how do they want to buy it, how should I market it to them so that it actually resonates. You kind of have to have all this information up front before you can actually be good at that part of it, the marketing. You have to have like knowledge about what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Schmitty. I think that's about the episode, huh?
I reckon it is, guys. I reckon it is. Just I mean, main takeaway is like do your research. This is one way to go about things. There's so many different ways to find products and kind of go about this process, but this is the way that I'm using currently. Maybe I'll make some more updates in the future about how this is going. But I think that generally speaking, this method is going to be a lot more effective than just copying what you see working on Facebook. So I encourage you to do it. Do your research, go on these forums, read through the product reviews, just make an effort to actually understand who you're selling to. And I think that it'll work out for you better than if you didn't. So that's episode number 165, folks. We'll talk to you guys in episode number 166.